In this lesson, we will learn to integrate our ACL within our Spring controllers. To do this, we will have two different points that we will need to modify within the application in order to bring in our ACL features. The first thing that we need to do is we need to navigate to our domain object appointment. So when we are working with an ACL, we are protecting operations on domain objects. So we need to provide a mechanism to marry the domain object into the ACL system. And the way Spring Security has us do this is by returning the ID of our domain object in a method named getID. So we're just going to return along from this getID method, and it's going to point to our appointment ID. And this will help marry up our domain object appointment and Spring Security's ACL features. Next, we'll navigate to the appointment controller, and we're going to modify a method within this controller to use the has permission expression. So here we see the getAppointment method, and within this controller class, we're going to modify the getAppointment method to use the hasPermission expression within the post-authorize annotation. So I'm just going to add the expression in, and then what we can do is we can access the model, which we're passing into our method by using the # and putting model, and then remember model's a map, and we're going to get the appointment out of the model. And that's going to be the first argument to our has permission expression, the object we want to check permissions on. And we need to make sure that we are actually using this domain object within the ACL. So we've already taken care of that with our database schema and the records we've inserted. Now we just specify a permission that we want to check that the user has access on. So here I'm checking that the user has access on the appointment and they have read access on that appointment. So let's run through this demonstration. So we'll restart our server and navigate to the app, and I'm going to sign in, and I'll just sign in as the kBowersox user. So kBowersox, password, and we get logged in, we navigate into our appointment, and there we see we were allowed to access it. So that invoked that getAppointment method we were just working on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to require further permissions to click on one of these confirm buttons and have the operation invoked. So if we navigate back to STS, you'll see within the appointment class, we have this confirm method. And what we're going to do is modify this method to accept an appointment ID. And then we'll just pull that path variable out. So I'll have a new long, which we'll call appointment ID, and we can import that. And then what we'll do is we're going to use the repository, and we're going to find one by the appointment ID, and we will return an appointment. So it's a little bit different, but it's just a nice test here. And then we will need to go into the appointment.jsp, and from here, we are going to add the appointment ID onto our confirm. So here, if we look at the URL, we see that when we confirm, we are providing the appointment ID, and that's going to invoke our confirm method here. So we're going to add some different protection here instead of the roles allowed annotation. We're going to add post authorize once again, and then we're going to use the has permission expression, and we're going to inspect the return object this time, which is of type appointment, and we're going to check that there is administration privileges on this object. Now, you're going to ask, where did I get that administration privilege? Well, if you look at the default permissions provided by Spring Security, they have read, write, create, delete, and administration. And here you see the appropriate values for them. So if you remember, when we added our entries into our ACL via the database, we added a 1 for that bit mask field that corresponded with read, a 2 would be write, a 4 would be create, and so on. And now we're just going to go in to our init.sql file, and we're going to add the administration privilege to the kbowersox user. So here we see our ACL entry, and we see that the fourth column is a bit mask. So we're just going to copy that ACL entry, and we need to change the order. So we're saying this is our second entry for that domain object. Then we move to the fourth column and we specify a 16, which will correspond with our administration base privilege. So that's going to be required for any user that's invoking the confirm method on our controller, and we just granted that permission to the kbowersox user. Okay, so before we restart our server, let's add in that final parenthesis, and we'll save our appointment controller.java file. And now I'm just going to restart our server, and I will open up a browser so that we can navigate to the app. And once we are at the application, you'll see that we are able to log in with the kbowersox user. As always, kbowersox with a password, and then we're going to go in to our appointment, and now we're going to confirm. And there we just see our appointment in JSON, and that's a signal that we were able to invoke that confirm method. So that is all provided by using Spring Security's ACL features, and we integrated them into our application by using the has permission expression and placing that on our methods so that we can require different privileges to perform operations on our different domain objects.